Okay, we're going to continue our review, and in this particular lesson we're going to look at dividing using long division and dividing using synthetic division. Now again, sometimes you can't use synthetic division. In this case, that's because you have a 2 right here. The only time you can use synthetic division is when this is a single x. As you see right here is a single x. So that's the qualifications for synthetic. So what we have to do is we have to just simply rewrite this as a long division problem. So I'm going to start with the 2x plus 1, and I'm going to write this out. 4x cubed minus 4x squared plus 7x plus 6. And what I want to do to get this right here, it's kind of, you have to remember your division rules, and you can start by dividing. Basically, you're looking for a number that sits right here, that when you multiply it by 2x will equal 4x cubed. Well, the number part is easy. 2 times 2 gives me the 4. X times something gives me x cubed. Well, if I just put an x there, I can see I just get an x squared, and I want to get an x cubed, so I'm going to add another x to that. And now I'm going to multiply it out. I'm going to distribute both of these terms to the 2x. So 2x times 2x squared gives me that 4x cubed that I wanted. And now I'm going to multiply 1 times 2x squared, which is plus 2x squared. And with the algorithm of division, you have to subtract. This kind of gets tricky, so I'm going to change colors here. You're not just subtracting the first term, you're subtracting both terms. So you got to kind of run that negative from end zone to end zone and subtract both of those terms. When you do, the first terms conveniently cancel out, and you're left with the negative 6x squared as a result, because that's a negative 4 and that's now a negative 2x squared. Now the next part of this division is to pull down the next term, available term we should say. And we start repeating that process all over again. We're going to ask ourselves, the number that goes right here is the number that I get when I multiply this to get a 6x squared. So I know I'm going to have to get a negative 3 in there to get that negative 6. So now I have a 2 times negative 3x, which is negative 6x, but I want a squared there, so I'm going to add an x here. You'll also notice that this kind of counts down, so that's a little helper too. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this once again by the negative 3x. So I'm going to start with the 2x times the negative 3x. That gives me my negative 6x squared that I was looking for. And now the 1 times the negative 3x gives me that minus 3x. And now I'm going to subtract, and again, I'm not just subtracting that first term. When you subtract a negative, it changes this to a positive, and it'll change this over to a positive as well. So a negative, when it's distributed, just simply flips those signs over. And these first terms will cancel out, and when I add these together, I'll have 10x. I'm going to pull down that last available term, which is plus 6, and repeat that whole process over again. 2. The number that goes right here will be the number that I get that multiplies out to equal 10x. So 2 times 5 gives me the 10x. So again, now we're going to multiply. 2x times 5 is 10x, and 1 times 5 is 5. And again, I'm not just subtracting the first part of this, I'm running a negative through the whole bottom row and combining, actually adding. So these will strike out, and I'm going to be left with a 1. That 1 is the remainder. And here's how we're going to do our remainders. We're going to put that 1 back over the divisor, which is 2x plus 1. Okay, now let's take a look at synthetic division, which is so much nicer. All you have to do is remove the variables from the problem. We're just going to temporarily remove them and get them out of the way. So my coefficients are going to be 1, 3, -5, and 2. And I've already checked to see if I have any missing variables. In other words, if you're missing one of these terms, if in marching order you look down and you're missing one of your variables, you got to place a 0 there. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a number over here at the side. If this is the factor, then x equals -4 is going to be the number that goes over here. So you want to solve for the x to get the number that goes over here. In synthetic division, remember, we always drop down the first number, and we start this multiplying. We get a -4, and then adding. We get a -1. We repeat that process. -4 times -1 is +4. Add these together, we get another -1. -4 times -1 is +4. We add these together and we have 6. And now what we have to do is we have to insert the variables again. So again, time to interpret this. Since we just divided this whole thing through by an x value, we're just going to subtract 1 from this degree. So these are the coefficients. And I'm going to start with an x squared, which because it's 1 degree lower than the x cubed, minus an x, or minus a 1x, minus a 1, and this is the remainder. So I'm going to have a plus 6, and again I'm going to put that back over the divisor, which is x plus 4. And that is your final answer right there. And that does conclude this video.